Okay, well, thank you for joining, everyone. I know there's a lot going on during these weeks, so appreciate you taking the time to come and see what we're working on. My name's Johnny Henschel. I work at the IFRC in the information management team, focusing on GIS, so geographical information systems, and I'm actually seconded from the British Red Cross to the IFRC, but we'll explain more about the Red Cross setup soon. Luis.
Thank you, Johnny. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. I am Luis Fanovic. I am part of Johnny's team, information management team from IFRC Geneva. I am focused on data analysis. I am doing this temporary assignment, but my main role is also IFRC, but in the Americas region as information management focal point. And when I have some time, I volunteer my time in the Uruguayan Red Cross. So thank you again. Over to you, Johnny.
Cool. Cheers, Luis. So, right, before we get started, just want to have a quick understanding of what people already know about 3W. So I'm just going to quickly launch this anonymous poll. If you could just select how familiar are you with 3W? So what does 3W mean? Or perhaps you've heard of it but don't really know what it is, more familiar with it and have worked with it, or you're a 3W pro, and why aren't we talking about 4W or 5W or many more Ws? Okay, we've got one pro.
We got one pro. Good.
Nice. Maybe you should take over the presentation. Cool. Okay. So I'll end it there. I think I need to just share the results so people can see. So most people in the middle, everybody's heard of 3Ws, so that's great. We'll still run through it briefly as we're recording it. But yeah, so people either have heard of it and want to find out more or have worked with it. So it'd be great to share with you what we're working on at the moment. So let's crack on, I guess. Let's just get some things out of the way. Here we go. Okay, so very quickly, I'll just give an overview of the movement. I can see from the participants that quite a few people are from Red Cross or Red Crescent. So bear with me while I try and explain this. It could be a whole session into itself, but just to quickly summarize, so the movement is made up of three key actors. So we've got we'll start with national societies. So down in the bottom left here, I've given the example of the British Red Cross. That's because I'm from the United Kingdom, so my local Red Cross is the British Red Cross and who I've volunteered and worked with. But you may know the Red Cross or Red Crescent National Society from your country. So you could have the New Zealand Red Cross or the Syrian Red Crescent. So those national societies are responsible for running the operations in their country. And these activities vary slightly, or can vary quite a lot, but often have common themes. And then we go on to the IFRC. So the IFRC is a federation that brings together these Red Cross and Red Crescent national societies. And it does a lot, but a key thing is coordination. So one way of putting this is, for example, if there's an emergency response in a country, so we could use the Guinea Ebola response at the moment. The Guinea Red Cross will be responding to that in country, but then can request assistance from the IFRC for funding and potentially resources or personnel. The IFRC then coordinate that amongst the other national societies to go and assist in Guinea. And then we have the ICRC, which are a separate entity focusing on armed conflict. So yeah, that's broadly the movement for you, and then together is the movement. I didn't say at the beginning, but if you have any questions as we go, please do chuck them in the chat. We will probably come back to them. Well, we will come back to them all at the end, but if there's any as we go, we might pick them up as we go. Okay, so on to the meat of today. 3W. Luis, over to you.
Yes, thanks, Johnny. Now, as we have seen the poll, interesting results. Everyone in the session has knowledge about 3W. So I'll try to be very brief, right? The 3W, or the who, what, where. It's the meaning behind the 3Ws, right? It's a product that we often see during disaster response to also crisis and disasters, right? And well, tell us overall, it's still trying to tell us who is doing what and where, right? There can be many formats, several formats of such a product, right? Like maps, infographics, sets of charts. It can be done static and interactive, and that depending on our level of imagination, right? And trying to pull the data together, that together can make sense, right? The 3W approach can be used also at disaster response mainly, but also at programmatic level, right? Depending on the need. And then besides the meaning of the 3W is that many organizations, humanitarian organizations, lead 3W projects and products, right? And then this example, as you can see in the slide, it's a 3W product that was led by UN OCHA during the response to the hurricanes ETA and IOTA in Central America last year in 2020. And then UN OCHA coordinated this regional sort of 3W product, right? Where many organizations contributed with data of their activities, and also the Cross Red Crescent Movement, right? Remember, I was deployed in Guatemala to respond and support the Guatemalan Red Cross, and then we supported and contributed with our data related to activities to this project, to this product, right? In this case, it's an interactive product that can be static or interactive, right? And then next slide, please, John. Yes. And then we contribute as a Red Crescent Movement, we contribute to the wider 3W products, such as the UN OCHA, but we also do our own products, right? And John is going to brief us in detail about our 3W approach, right? But this need of enable or enhance information and data sharing related to projects, to activities within disaster response has led the initiative to think or improve our approach to 3W, which we are going to share in a couple more minutes. Right? Yes, next one, please. And yes, now over to you, Johnny. Thank you.
Cool. Cheers, Luis. Yeah. So as Luis is just saying, there's the sector-wide 3W, but then there's a need within the movement, just because there's, I don't think I mentioned the number, there's 192 national societies in total. So just to understand what is happening within the movement. I'm going to just do I'll try and keep it brief, summary of how we've got to where we are. So with a few products to demonstrate it. So this is starting with Typhoon Haiyan in 2013 in the Philippines. This is actually when I first volunteered at the British Red Cross. And this shows, it was a huge response with lots of different national societies involved. So we really needed to understand who was doing what and where as it happens. This is a 4W you'll see in the top left because it has a date on it. So the fourth W is the when, but we're going to just stick to the 3. But what you'll notice here, it was a static product. It was created daily, I think, if not weekly. And it gives a lot of insight, but the focus here is on the where more than anything. The focus is around the map. And for example, if I wanted to know where is the German Red Cross working, I have to go and look at every box and have a look. And then if it's same question for sector, it takes quite a lot of effort to go and find out, to interrogate the data in that way. So as this response was happening, a colleague at the British Red Cross was experimenting different ways to show this data, and experimenting with D3 as a way to show it. This was using the same data set as the static one, but gave people the ability to interrogate the data. So you could come in as a WASH professional and click on WASH to then see that Oxfam are doing the most WASH activities. Where are they doing them? So it gives you a lot more ability to tailor and interrogate the data to your needs. So after Haiyan, Simon continued to develop this code and this approach and really look into 3W more. This simplified it further, going for bar charts instead. And you'll see here, we're talking about the movement 3W, but this is actually a wider sector. So we had the Vanuatu Red Cross for Cyclone Pam, but it was actually the whole response for the sector. So again, you can dig in and interrogate the data. What I will do, if Luis, perhaps you could share, Simon he wrote a blog on this back in 2015, just summarizing his work and looking into it. So we'll share the link there if you want to look into that a bit more. So all of that was using D3, which is amazing and bespoke, and you can, it's kind of unlimited what you can do, but it's quite a barrier to entry. You need to be familiar with JavaScript and D3. So here's another example of a recent product. This is now using Power BI. So same principles of interactive, being able to interrogate the data. But this is for the Sudan floods last year. And this is just movement response, as you see, just Red Cross and Red Crescent national societies. So there's been years of 3W work within the Red Cross and the wider sector. So some of Simon's code has been forked and used, I know, by OCHA and many others, I think. So there's ongoing work around 3W, has been for a long time. So what I was just looking at was how we visualize some of this data, but a key thing for us is, where does this data come from? How do we know who's working where? So that brings us to Go, which is the IFRC's, I mentioned their coordination role for emergency response. This is the coordination of data across the movement. So it's, sorry, just moving some Zoom windows. So what Go does is it's a place that brings together data from IFRC systems, external sources, and allows users to add new data. So for an emergency response, you can go in and update using a field report what activities are happening and what's happening on the ground. So this has been really revolutionized how we collect data, no more so than during COVID, which has seen almost every national society report on their activities via Go, which then means we have one place where you can, one picture of what's going on. So yeah, this is in a database which is then accessible through the main website. But for the data geeks out there, this key thing here is the API as well. So most of the data is accessible via an API, which means you can you can import it into your Power BI dashboards or whatever other platform and merge it with other data sets. So we had Go with the data, and we had a lot of work going on around 3Ws. So last year it brought 3W to Go, and what I'm going to do actually is just play this quick video that was created when we launched it. Yeah, cool.
When disaster strikes, the Red Cross Red Crescent are often the first to respond. Our volunteers are from the communities where disasters happen, which means we really understand what is needed. We can act rapidly and at scale. Local responders can rely on support from our global network, which has unique specialist capabilities, so that money, people, and resources can be mobilized quickly to help affected communities prepare, respond, and recover. However, making sense of a disaster is difficult. It can be challenging to hear the most important stories above the noise of the action. Go uses the who does what, where, or 3W system to help understand who is responding, what activities are taking place, and at which locations, to meet urgent emergency needs, prepare for crises, and reduce risks. Go 3W gives a rapid operational overview of the response that is taking place, to allow the best placed support to flow to those who need it most. It has a simple online interface to help local responders access and share awareness and data about ongoing response activities wherever they are. After entering data or uploading a spreadsheet, the 3W system automatically creates maps and infographics that can be easily reused to explain to partners how and where the Red Cross Red Crescent network is responding. The data can be used to identify gaps, reduce duplication, and improve planning of our collective response. Alongside risk information and National Society self-assessments on their preparedness to respond, we can use this system to match existing and likely needs with movement capacities. Go3W is a vital piece in the puzzle, helping us work together across the movement to respond faster and more effectively than ever before. Find out how you can hit Go on 3W to both share and download project data by visiting go.ifrc.org.
Cool. Over to you, Luis.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, Johnny, and also for the video. I think it explains almost most of it. So I think I'll spend just a couple of minutes talking about overview of Go, right? The Go3W, sorry, the 3W system was launched April last year, 2020, right? And it was a part of the wider approach to enhance reporting, mostly in particular during our global COVID-19 operation, right? And since the beginning of Go in 2018, we've been able to capture data related to emergency response and emergency operations, right? Now with the 3W system, we are able to capture the missing data, perhaps more programmatic and related to operations, right? And now we are getting a complete picture of what is happening or the humanitarian situation within a country or a region, right? As the video mentioned, we can use the Go3W as an operational overview, right? And try to locate, mobilize the nearest support to try meet humanitarian needs in a more efficient manner, right? It's another product that can be used for response planning. And then within the Red Cross Red Crescent movement, we can map activities from our movement partners and also to explain to these partners where we are responding, right? Or carrying out long-term or medium-term projects, right? So Johnny, can you please go ahead? Yes, so I'll explain some features, functionalities related to data input, right? It's simple interface to data input. You can see it on the slide, right? It's a survey type data collection method, where I can use it for individual registries, right? Input individual data related to a project, right? Besides individual, sorry about the background noise, it's the neighbor's dog, dogs. So we can upload the data individually or using spreadsheets, using the bulk upload. We are working on that, improving that already, but it's going there, right? We can disaggregate the data by region or province, right? Using administrative level 1, right? And then this disaggregation of the data geographically can also enable national societies to, Cross Red Crescent national societies to keep track of their own projects within their countries, right? Next one, please. Right. Once we are done with the data input, right, using the individual upload or bulk, which we are working on it, now we have access to the visuals, right, the visual part of the system. It comes with pre-built maps, infographics. We can export these infographics and use it for our own reporting, for our own analysis, right? There are regional view, for example. We can go to the Asia Pacific region in Go, and then we can have access to the complete 3W regional level, right? We can go through more detail, and then we can visit a country and what is happening, right? And there's a 3W view for each country. We are working on more views, and this is part of the improving or the enhancements that we are working on, but I'll tell you in a moment, right? If we are not entirely satisfied with the built-in maps, infographics, and visuals, we can then export the 3W data via API or clicking on an export. We get the CSV file, and then we can do our own, develop our own visuals if you're not entirely satisfied to support our analysis, right? Johnny, next one, please. All right, so yes, this is just to mention about like why we are improving the 3W that was launched in April 2020, right? This data is being taken via API, and then we managed to get some insights in there, right? Since its beginning in April 2020, there's over 500 3W entries or 3W projects within the system, right? And these entries have been input by Red Cross, Red Crescent national societies, IFRC colleagues as well. And then even if the launch was on April, we can see activities starting in May, right? There's some peaks in the data entry, can be related to reporting timeframes, and also we can see some dropouts, right? And why are we getting these drop-offs in the 3W system? This is why we are improving right now. We are running a consultation process to try to get a solid user requirements package, right? To be addressed and have them ready very soon, right? So this is the consultation process at a glance, right? We've been working since a month ago, more or less, on trying to develop some user stories, right? Come up with a vision statement, right? And then based on these user stories, we are now in the second phase, which is consultations. Since we would like to improve the product and make it like more accessible to colleagues and members of the Cross Red Crescent Movement, we are interviewing through one-on-ones and trying to get insights on what can be useful for them, for colleagues, and what improvements we can do to the tool through opinion of real users of the 3W system, right? Once these feedback we are collecting by interviews or one-on-ones, we are trying to map it with the user stories we have identified, and also identify new ones, right, that were not on our radar at the beginning. And then once we are done, and this is happening very soon, hope this week we are done with the interviews. We are doing prioritization of this potential feedback and user requirements, and send to the developers anytime soon. So that's at a glance the consultation process. Now, Johnny, yes, what is coming, right? Besides the user requirements, which is the feedback that we are collecting by one-on-ones, by interviews, we have also already identified some elements to be addressed in this scope of improvements for 2021, right? We are going to do improvements to the data input, right? The individual way of uploading, inputting the data is working fine, but we need to work a bit more on the bulk upload, right? Make it more friendly to colleagues. So we are going to include that. There's regional views and country views in 3W, and we have found the need of having a global view, right? And also another view for a movement partner, right? There are Red Crescent national societies that also supporting their own countries locally. They work internationally, right? They support other national societies and also IFRC doing disaster response and medium and long-term programs. These movement partners, they have projects around the globe. So we are working on also on a view for them to monitor and
Lost you, Luis. Is that just me? Anyone on the chat? Okay. Cool. Thanks for confirming. Luis, are you back?
Yes, I don't know what happened. I think my connection dropped, but I'm back.
Okay, cool.
Okay, good. All right.
Carry on.
So yeah, I think that I was done with what is explaining colleagues what is coming. So I think over to you, Johnny.
Okay, nice, good timing. Cheers, Luis. So yeah, as Luis has been saying, we've got something running. We're currently looking at how we can improve it. This data input is crucial. The product is only as good as the data that's in it. But also looking at these new views for a global view, what's happening in the movement or for each partner. We're actually enlisting the help of the entire movement to try and address that and think of new ways of visualizing the data. So this is more a shout out just of something that we're doing at the moment, a new way of approaching it, is this Nightingale Data Viz Challenge that we've just launched. So this is only open to people, staff and volunteers within the movement, but the idea is to find new different innovative ways of displaying 3W data. So we've run through a lot in this presentation, and you'll see a lot of similarities from them. So, you know, are we missing a trick in how we can visualize this better? And yeah, this is the Nightingale Challenge in honor of Florence Nightingale, who did a lot for data visualization, and I'd encourage you to go and read blogs about it because it's very cool. Here's some of the viz. But yeah, so this is currently in progress. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to get the results, bring them together with the consultations that Luis has been talking about, and then that will be defining what next for 3W on Go. So that is where we're at the moment. We're going to quickly think about what next. So that's what we wanted to share with where we are, but what about in the future? And this is to just socialize things that we're thinking about. These are varying levels of discussion internally, but yeah, maybe something that you're also considering in your organization. And while I'm doing this, I encourage you to add any questions to the chat, and we're going to come to them after that. So one thing that's been flagged a couple of times is the integration of Hexel. So for those not aware, Hexel is a kind of language. It's a way of standardizing data sets. So practically what you do is add an extra row underneath your columns and spreadsheets, and under there you can add more standardized Hexel tags, which means no matter what the column's called, these tags can be used to bring data sets together. This could be huge for the 3W for two reasons. One, for getting data into it. So we have 192 national societies. We want to know where they're working. There's probably 192 different systems for recording where they are working. So it's quite difficult to get this information into the Go system. And perhaps Hexel could mean, right, on your system, can you just tag these key columns, and then that can get pulled into the Go 3W and then made available to everyone. So that's really cool to explore next. And then on the flip side, for exporting the data, if it's Hexel tagged, then that would make it much easier for incorporating into existing 3W products. So for example, a sector-wide 3W for a large response, all of the Red Crescent Movement data could just come from the Go 3W, and all be hexylated to join together in a perfect data world. So just to give an idea of what we mean by that, this is being done to an extent on one of our platforms called the Cache Hub. This was actually created by Simon, again, who I've mentioned a few times here. And this uses not just Hexel tagged data, but a product called Hexel Dash, which then within a few minutes, literally, you can pull together something that it looks like this. And again, a lot of the similarities of the products that we've seen. And can we incorporate this into Go a bit more? We also want to explore report-driven and auto-analysis. Those are some words. What do we mean by that? The key thing on this one is this summary here. Now you'll see this is just a concept, so it's using column names that don't really mean much here, but just replacing them with more common language. What this is doing is automatically summarizing this pretty complex data set just to pull out some key themes. So, there are 13 national societies working in 9 sectors and in 31 countries. The largest sector is, sorry, I've got some Zoom things in the way. Yeah, the largest sector is health. So this is all done automatically, and you can, let's have a look even. Yeah. And you can even then start to dig in. So somebody who may be shorter of time and doesn't want to be interacting with all of these dashboards could go in and be like, okay, I am interested in PGI. And that then drills all the way down to, okay, the Afghan Red Crescent Society is working in Afghanistan for it. So that's maybe not the best one. Shelter, this is all concept data, trying to find one there. There we go. So we now filter to livelihoods and basic needs, and then it can say, all right, there are 5 national societies. So yeah, very early concept stages, but trying to summarize the data so you don't have to go and get the information yourself. And the last thing is then for data sharing. So we've made it's available via the API. The API does need some work though to clean it up and better document it, making it more accessible. And should we be making it available on HDX as well? These are questions that are being asked rather than things proposed at the moment. but lots of potential, with the key focus at the moment making sure that we get the data correct in the first place. So that was a lot of information. Thanks for listening. Over to you. If you have any questions, feel free to jot down the email address and send us on a message if you think of ways to collaborate. And we dropped the Medium link there to find out more about Go. Luis, I see you've been on the chat.
Yes, thank you, Johnny. Yes, there's a comment, a question in the chat box related to Anita. Thanks, Anita. Are there any requests to work with the 3W offline? For instance, downloading the interactive interrogative dashboard. That could be very interesting. During the interviews, there's been 1-2 colleagues that have addressed this issue, right? It will be good to count with some offline mode or us to be able to get this data, right, and work offline. And a good thing about Go 3W is that if we are aware that we are going to be in an offline environment, then we can, prior to that, then do our own exports or of the data via API or clicking on the export button on the system, and then have our own data, and we work in our own offline dashboards. Johnny, I don't know if you have anything else to add. Okay, good. Thanks, Anita.
Cool. Any other questions? Feel free to put in the chat. Come off mute. All right. Well, if not, I think we can close it off then, and people can get 20 minutes back. That was the plan, to keep it shorter and have time for discussion. But if there's nothing, that's fine. You have 20 minutes back to get a cup of tea or coffee or drink of choice before your next meeting, perhaps. Great. Okay. Well, thanks for joining. Yeah. Any questions? Any follow up? Please do drop us an email. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers. Bye-bye.